Let's stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time. Welcome to Walsh Wednesday. On this week's episode, we speak with musician Lily Vakili and author Kent Priore. Lily and I talk about her new album, Oceans of Kansas, ahead of her show at Nublu in New York City on December 6th. After that, we speak with Hudson Valley author Kent Priore about his debut novel, The Monsters Among Us, which is out now. Thank you to our Walsh Wednesday All-Stars, all of those who have generously contributed to the Walsh Wednesday 2025 Fund Drive. You can see the list of names on screen or in the description of this episode. And of course, thank you to our Walsh Wednesday Warriors, Jim Robinson, John Newhall, Meg Boyce, and Jenna Hess. These individuals have pledged $100 or more to Walsh Wednesday for 2025, either through the GoFundMe or our Patreon. This episode of Walsh Wednesday is brought to you by Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County Incorporated, Dayrock, Lockset Rock Hair Design, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, Dutchess Beer Distributors, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins and Sape LLP, Attorneys at Law, Vivash Med Spa and the Hudson Valley Ketamine Lounge, Prime Storage, and Walsh Valuation.
Hey there, and welcome back to Walsh Wednesday. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and we got a great episode for you guys today. You know that I love having a bunch of musicians on the program, and today is no exception. We have with us Lily Vakili. She released her album, Oceans of Kansas, on October 17th. We got a lot to get into on that, but she's also going to be coming to New York. She's going to be playing Nublu in the East Village on December 6th. So we're excited for all that, of course, Walsh Wednesday being here out of New York. So let's get into it. With us today, we have Lily Vakili. Lily, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me. This is terrific.
Absolutely. As I said before we got onto the microphone, I've listened to the whole album. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to dive into some of your earlier work as well. Definitely inspired to. One thing I just wanted to mention right now, you coming to Nublu in New York City on the 6th is almost kind of like a homecoming for this album, because if I'm not mistaken, you recorded Oceans of Kansas in New York City, right?
That's right. The name notwithstanding, right?
Yeah.
Recorded it at Second Take Sound. Second Take Sound. And that was just like an adventure in and of itself. It's kind of, in a very old school New York area of Midtown on the west side. And it's a great studio, and it's run by Reed Torshey, who produced the album, and he plays slide guitar on the album. And he and I had worked on an EP together, recording it at the same studio. It was an acoustic solo EP.
Was that the Tannersville one?
That's the Tannersville one.
Fantastic.
Which was the precursor, right, to Oceans of Kansas. And it was just such a great experience. It really opened up, a lot of pathways. So it's going to be great. Coming to Nublu, it'll be our first time at Nublu, which is a fantastic venue, downtown New York. And our great friends from DC, the Lot 18 band, are joining us. And it's always a great night. I think we might make it a tradition. We played an end of year closeout night with them last year in New York, and it was just a blowout. So I mean, in the best possible way.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So we're like, let's do it again. Let's do it again. And they're always game. So we're going to be delighted to, have them back in town too and playing New York.
Fantastic. I've never been to Nublu yet. I've heard of it. It's definitely, living in New York, I'm a little further north from the city, but I'm familiar with a lot of the great clubs and venues. And no, that's fantastic that you're getting a chance to play there. So let's talk about the album, even though it was recorded here in New York and we're kind of having this homecoming, getting to play in the East Village and all. But Oceans of Kansas, what a word painting that is. Oceans of Kansas, that gives such beautiful imagery. For most people probably think is like, there's no oceans in Kansas. What's going on? Could you talk to us about what that means to you, both literally and metaphorically?
Yeah. And, thank you. I'm glad you like that title.
I do.
It's, it was, so many things. I feel like it was just kind of a gift, right? And it came out of my tour that I was doing. I was supporting this wonderful artist from the UK, John Douglas, who was on a solo tour, West Coast tour, invited me to come along as an opener. And that took us up, all the way up through, LA up to Seattle. And then we crossed into the Midwest, going through Colorado and then to Kansas. And I was traveling with one of my brothers who I had roped into this job as roadie, muscle, everything else, merch guy. And he, by the way, who is a retired submariner.
Wow.
The theme continues.
It really does there. Wow.
Right. So we're making our way across Kansas, trying to get to St. Louis, Missouri. Kansas City, sorry. And we needed to stop somewhere overnight because it was just a long drive. And so I dialed my pal, who gave me advice and said, you should stop in this place called Hays, Kansas. I'm like, sure, but why? It seems like a little town, whatever. He says, well, it's a little bit past the halfway mark from Denver, and there's a place you should visit, but you need to get there before 5 o'clock, and you should just go straight there. Here's the address. So, I'm game too. So I was like, all right. So we drive to this place, and there's this big, huge parking lot, and it's a museum, and it says the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. And I'm like, well, I love museums as much as anyone. And my brother and I, it's like just before closing time, we run in there, and there are like 2 high school students manning the place. There's nobody else there. And they're like, yeah, come on in. So we had the place to ourselves. And this was the most extraordinary experience out of, it was like almost like hallucinatory, right? We were tired from the drive. We come into this museum that is a collection of some of the most extraordinary, truly like high level quality fossils of aquatic creatures and life from 80 million years ago, when Kansas was an ocean.
Wow.
It just completely blew my mind. The beauty of these perfectly preserved fossils, the fact that this wildly diverse life had existed on these beautiful plains of Kansas, that it had been an ocean, and that 80 million years later, some amateur archaeologist, paleontologist, starts discovering these things. And through, his own passionate interest that he passed down to his kids and all that, they developed this museum. World-renowned. Some of the specimens are truly world-renowned and extraordinary, like nothing like it anywhere else on the planet. And here it was in Hays, Kansas, in the beautiful Midwest. And, one of my other songs, or my earlier songs, called Had a Penny, incorporates this phrase, amber waves of grain. Amber grain, right, of course. And it was just so poetic. It was just so profound, and it had me thinking. So metaphorically, it's like the way we, as you go through your life, you often look back, or maybe you don't. But anyway, there are times when you rediscover things about your past that perhaps with time you can better understand or see more clearly, or you see the articulated experience of something in your past. And the passage of time has allowed you to understand it better, or accept it better, or even share it and disclose it. Right?
Yeah.
It was all those things.
You're digging up your own past, just like these archaeologists dug up all these fossils of a world almost forgotten. And I say almost because they created this, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you know what? No joke, honest to goodness, I want to be like a spokeswoman for the Museum of Natural History in Hays, Kansas, because it really is so extraordinarily beautiful. And the work that was done there, I love seeing people do the thing that they love, and that is contributive to society and to other people in a positive way, through knowledge, through whatever, there are just so many different ways, through art, through, these are the things that in my experience last. And they last not because of any one individual, but because the story is passed down and shared and has meaning for each successive generation. And that's where glory lies, not in individual, ostentatiousness or something like that, but rather in the offering that you can make.
That's really beautiful, Lily. Honestly, I think that's fantastic. And I love that you were able to find this inspiration out there in Kansas, in a place you didn't, first of all, know existed to begin with. And then second of all, like, to learn more about the history of it all, and hear you saying that you want to help tell these stories and help inspire and create this sense of glory and legacy. I find it fitting because in all of my research getting ready for this interview, I learned that Vakili means representative or advocate. So that's really cool.
Come on, her. I'm so impressed. You're the first person. I can't believe it. You're the first person in any of these interviews that has ever mentioned that. Thank you. That's a very generous thing for you to have done. And, yeah, peculiar. So I don't know. What do you think of that?
It's great. It's like it was, whether you feel like certain things are destined to happen or whether you think life just happens, it's like there's some beautiful meaning right there.
I
Whether
know.
that's irony or planned by something, I think that's fantastic. And so thank you for sharing all that, Lily. I really,
Sure.
really appreciate that. I want to get into some of the music right now. You have singles like I've listened to it. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Okoboji, that was the first single, right? Then you had Tannersville. Hold On, They Say. I really loved that one in particular.
Thank you.
One Human Being, great singles. But I'm going to be selfish for a moment. I want to talk about a song that I felt like really resonated for me real quick. It wasn't a single. Maybe you're playing it as a single at one point, but Rocket. Rocket really hit me like a gut punch. As a musician myself, as somebody who's traveled a lot, as somebody who's worked and worked like crazy, lines like always leaving, looking for some meaning, and mind was always on the road, looking for that one last thing that would make it all make sense to you. Holy crap, that hit me and just like tore my heart when I was listening to it. So again, I'm going to be selfish. I just wanted to share that with you, and I would love to give you the space to talk about it if you're interested.
Sure. Well, what you just described is, it means everything, right? Because it means that by you listening to Rocket, you've completed the cycle of the exchange, which is you've made it your own. You truly have made it your own because it's relevant to you in certain ways that I can't
Absolutely.
possibly know. And that to me is the exchange of artist and audience, and that's how you complete the act. But that's a hard one. That's a hard one because
Is it? Okay.
it's very personal. In parts of it relate to experiences I had in Iowa when I was living there, and I was traveling back and forth between Ames, Iowa, where my parents lived, and Minneapolis, where I was working in theater at the time.
Mm.
And I would take the Greyhound bus.
Yeah, been there, done that plenty of times.
So
Yep.
and there were always quite a few, always some characters on the Greyhound bus, especially when you took the cheapest route, which was the long route, which also was like the one that left at 4:30 in the morning, and my dad would drop me off. And so part of it is, and this relates to a lot of my songs, are what I observe. I feel like maybe it's moving around a lot, maybe it's the nature of being a creative person, but I feel like I'm always observing life around me and really looking to understand people's lives. Because it's always more complex. It's both more simple and more complex than one thinks.
Yes.
And we often carry a lot of baggage and assumptions about people and how they may look and what that might mean about them and all this stuff. And I think when you travel the highways on a Greyhound bus at 4:30 in the morning and late at night, you know, there can be times when you're really not comfortable and it can be kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But more often, you see people who are simply trying to make it. They're not on a Greyhound bus at 4:30 in the morning because they thought it would be a good time.
Yeah.
They're there because they have to, because they're, whatever. There were a lot of agricultural migrant workers who would ride those routes, during the farming season, and you wonder about these people. Where are they going? What are they doing? What are their hopes in their lives?
Yeah.
What are they sitting there silently wishing or thinking about as the highway goes by and the fluorescent lights of the next gas station pull, what are they thinking about? And then I also write from personal experience, and in one case being very much in love with someone who just had to leave. It was just in their nature to pursue something that they were looking for. And there's also that realization that there can be people like that in all kinds of ways in your life.
Absolutely.
Literally leave, and those who are not present emotionally, or who get lost to addiction, or there are many ways of being lost.
Yeah. honestly. It hit me like a sucker punch, and I loved it. When I listened to it, I had to re-listen to it a couple times after the first time. I was like, oh, geez. Oh, this hit. Thank you for sharing all that. I can see that it is coming from a very deep place, and it probably caught you off guard with that one. But thank you for sharing it nonetheless. A couple of things that you said there, how life is a lot more simpler and a lot more complex than we realize. I just read a quote recently that said, I am much smarter and much dumber than you think I am. Do not estimate me.
That's really great.
I love that quote. I thought that
that's
was
my new t-shirt, right?
Exactly. Let's get it on a t-shirt. Just wear it everywhere.
Do not estimate me.
Do not estimate. Not overestimate. Not underestimate.
Not underestimate.
Just don't estimate me.
Just don't be in the estimating business, okay?
Exactly. And then the other thing I just want to share, and this just real quick, with shared experience of having to do the Greyhounds all the time, I wrote a song, I think about longer than 5 years ago. Jesus. Oh God, let's not talk about the time. But I wrote a song. I wrote a song, and one of the lines from it was talking about the travel on the bus. And the first thing I got out of it that inspired the song was "Street lights like fireflies on the highway." That was kind of the inspiration. That was the first line that started the whole song. So I wanted to share that similar experience with each other. Let's talk about the album and the inspirations that you have. If I got this correctly, you were born in Honduras. You were traveling all around before you even became a musician. You were traveling all around. So traveling is essentially in your blood, and that kind of infuses in the music. I can hear it. I hear some Heartland rock. I hear some of those Spanish influences. It felt like very bossa nova. Like I watched Dancing with the Stars. I know bossa nova a little bit. But you know, there was so many great elements, and then kind of jazzy at times. It was really neat. So I know I'm laying out so much right there, but can you tell us your inspirations and how your experience in the world influenced this album?
Just a tiny topic. Yeah, I don't know.
So tiny, not weighted or big at all.
I don't know. So, I mean, you're right. I grew up, traveling around with my family. My father, was a researcher, a plant pathologist, and a geneticist, and he worked for the USDA. And we traveled around. My mom was a librarian. There's 6 kids, and so influences. I mean, my initial response to that is always, my family. So, what were my siblings listening to? I'm the 5th of 6, so that means
Oh wow.
I've got 4 others up there, and they all have their stylistic interests and all that. And my parents were very loved music, and so there was always music in the house, for example. And and most of my childhood was spent in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Puerto Rico, and Viva Borinquen. I just love that island. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, beautiful people, and I learned. It's just in my bones. The sound of whatever salsa, merengue, rumba. You could just, these were things that I remember going to all these parties, and especially in that culture where everybody shows up to the party.
Yeah.
I mean, the babies are at the party, the grandparents are at the party, everybody's at the party. And you're just, running around, playing, chasing, having great food. And in the meantime, there's this music that's going on.
Yeah.
And I just think it seeps into you. You just, it's part of who you are. So there was that. But we also went to school on a military base at the time. It was Ramey Air Force Base up in Aguadilla. And interesting thing, I mean, if you grow up around military, there are people from all over the place.
Yeah.
And so you get that exposure. So on the base, there was a lot of, R&B, soul, Southern, rock and roll, country. So there was it was so rich that I've always feel very grateful to have had that much opportunity to hear. People are all doing about the same thing. Is they want to express something. They want to feel that they are seen and heard and recognized. And through art, that's one way of doing that, and music being art, right? And so when I write, I'm not necessarily always intentionally saying I want to use this particular style, but I do feel like the resources are vast.
Yeah.
And why not experiment? I think the freedom of being an artist, and it is hard won and hard to stay true to sometimes, but is to experiment, to test the waters, to see where it takes you. There should be no one place that just lands and that's all you are, right? If you're going to go through what it takes to try and express yourself creatively, then do it.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Lily, that is so inspiring. And the fact that you've experienced so much life, you've seen so much, you've probably seen more than an average person will ever get to see in their life. And the fact that you were sharing that with your audiences, new and old, I think that's incredible. Sharing it through your stage show, sharing it through your music, whatever it is. And in moments like this on this podcast where you're being very vulnerable and open. And I really appreciate that. Lily, we're getting towards the end of this interview. I know that you got to run. I know we have things to do with the rest of this day. But before we wrap up, do you have any last little nugget you would like to share with the Walsh Wednesday listening audience? Could be about the album, could be about the upcoming show, could be anything.
Oh my gosh, you're making it hard, man.
I'm sorry. We get deep
And
here
how did
sometimes.
this time go by so quickly? This went by so quickly.
It did. I could have been here for a much longer time. This was really enjoyable.
I know, same here. So, look, I don't know. I think obviously I hope people will listen to the album. I hope that they will. I'm saying, here's this invitation to listen to these songs, and maybe some will speak to you, and maybe some will, become a part of some small part of your life in the way you think about something. Maybe they'll be a source of comfort. You never know. Maybe it'll just make you want to dance. I will be honored no matter what. Yeah, right? Okoboji, baby. It's like, it's the joy of the offering. And yes, of course, I want people to, buy the music and come see the shows, because the live experience, of course, is where it's at. That's the place where it happens in my. And so, I'd love to see people at Nublu. I mean, I think it's going to be an amazing, amazing end of year show. And I'm really excited to be back.
That's awesome. What you said, the joy of the offering, that says it all right there. That is phenomenal. Lily, thank you so much for being here on this episode of Walsh Wednesday. Again, you can check out Lily at Nublu on December 6th in the East Village here in New York State, New York City to be exact. If you're in the Hudson Valley like I am, just take the train down. You'll get there. It'll be fantastic. In the meantime, listen to her new album, Oceans of Kansas. It is out now. You can hear all the songs that we talked about. You can find your favorite song that's going to, give you that gut punch and make you listen to it a number of times. And there's some really fun grooves in there. You will be dancing. You will be getting into it. So definitely check that all out. Lily, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been a pleasure.
I'm Connor.
I'm Lily Vakili.
And as always, we're glad we get to
spend some time.
And pause. We're going to take a quick break from our interviews to hear from our sponsors. First up, we got our friend Andrew O'Grady from MHA of Dutchess County.
Hi, everybody. This is Andrew O'Grady, CEO at Mental Health America of Dutchess County, coming to you from our new MHA studios, where Connor Walsh is now producing all of our social media. I'm so happy to be here, and we're going to be right here in this spot this Monday, November 24th, from 2 to 4 p.m. Michelle Barone and I from Red will be sitting here. We're going to have guests on for 2 hours, and we're going to be holding a telethon. We're going to be raising money, or videothon, I guess. We're going to be raising money to fund gift cards for our clients here at MHA who can't afford food for the holiday season. So I'm hoping that you tune in, you put a little thing in your calendar and check us out live on that day. There'll be a way for you to donate. And if you see the feed, if you're sitting home and you're at work, you see the feed, share it. Share the live feed on your own, so we can get this word out and people can watch our show and hear what's going on, and you guys can all help out and make a donation. And we're gonna make a lot of people happy this holiday season because of your help. So please help us out. Look for us on Monday, the 24th, from 2 to 4 p.m. Hang hope this holiday. Support Mental Health America. MHA's annual wreath sale is back. Support Mental Health America of Dutchess County this holiday season by purchasing a beautiful, fresh wreath for only $30. Please pre-order by November 19th to guarantee availability. Orders accepted while supplies last. Order online at mhadutchess.org/wreath or call 845-473-2500 extension 1391 to order or schedule delivery. Happy holidays from MHA of Dutchess County.
Next, we have a message from our friend Jeff Feldman from Feldman, Kleiman, Collins, and Sape LLP, attorneys at law.
Hi, I'm Jeff Feldman. In 1986, when Paul Kleiman and I started our practice, our goal was to create a law firm where you could meet with an attorney and feel confident that that attorney would be with you every step of the way. Today, the firm has been successfully trying cases at all levels of state and federal courts throughout the Hudson Valley and Capital District. We have been selected as one of the best personal injury and medical malpractice defense law firms by U.S. News and World Report every year since 2009. For all of those years, we were the only firm chosen in any litigation specialty between Albany and White Plains. Your case is important to us. Giving you the time and personal attention you deserve has always been the hallmark of success. Initial consultations are free of charge and always with an attorney.
A message from Duchess Beer Distributors. From now to the end of November, Duchess Beer Distributors presents Football Face-Off. Come on out to your favorite Hudson Valley bars and restaurants where you can win free Bud Light and neutral seltzers, along with other awesome prizes. Try your hand at one of their 3 games: football toss, beer can cornhole, or flick a field goal. You can check out the events calendar to see where Duchess Beer Distributors will be next in the description of this episode.
The Vital Women of Washington Heights presents Beyond Hot Flashes and High Heels Fashion Show, a night to mingle and embrace the beauty and power of being a woman. The event takes place at the Salt Boutique Labs on 70 East Main Street, Wappingers Falls, on Thursday, December 4th from 6 to 9 p.m. The night will include an inspiring fashion show, hors d'oeuvres and specialty cocktails, local vendors, and more. Not to mention, I'll be DJing. You can go to the link in the description or visit the QR code on your screen to get tickets for this fashionable and festive event. Walsh Wednesday wants to give a big thank you to Prime Storage. It's the end of the year, and you may need to free up space for guests for the holidays, store seasonal decorations, secure valuables, and maybe even hide the presents. A temporary storage unit can help declutter a home, protect fragile items during a busy period, and provide a convenient way to organize and transition belongings before, during, and after the festive season. Whatever the reason, Prime Storage makes storage simple through seamless service, flexible rental options, and facilities conveniently located throughout the United States and Canada. By using our link in the description of this episode, you will get 1 free month of storage, plus you'll save 15% on rental rates. Make the holiday season simpler and store with Prime Storage. Up next, we have our friend Philomena Finelli from Impact PR and Communications.
Thanks, Connor. I'm Philomena Finelli, CEO of Impact PR and Communications and a media maven, which is a fancy way of saying that my team and I help companies get in the news, transform leaders into thought leaders, and cut through the clutter with messaging that matters. And we do it all with a smile. Our agency was named the Woman-Owned Small Business of the Year for 2024 by the Metro New York District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we received the Gold Stevie Award for Women-Run Workplace of the Year, which is an international recognition. But it's not about the awards, it's about the personal interactions. We at Impact PR and Communications pride ourselves on crafting meaningful, results-driven public relations campaigns that are tailored to meet and exceed our clients' goals. If you want to learn more and talk to my team and I, visit prwithimpact.com and let us know that you found out about us from Walsh Wednesday.
Thanks for listening, guys. It's time to get back to the show. And play. This episode of Walsh Wednesday is brought to you by Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County Incorporated, Dayrock, Lockset Rock Hair Design, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, Duchess Beer Distributors, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins & Sape, LLP, Attorneys at Law, Vivash Med Spa and the Hudson Valley Ketamine Lounge, Prime Storage, and Walsh Valuation. Hey there, and welcome back to Walsh Wednesday. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and we got a great episode for you guys today. We are here in the brand new MHA studios. This is really, really cool. This is the first recording that we're doing in this new space. Thank you, Andrew. And I think this is going to be the first interview in this space to also release. That doesn't always happen too, when something gets recorded and then released. But I think it's going to be the first for all of that. And this is really cool that we get to talk with this author about his book, because even though this is a fictitious story, it is laced with so much when it comes to mental health awareness. And really excited to get into this. Winner of the 2025 Firebird Book Award and author of The Monsters Among Us debut novel, we have with us Kent Priore. Kent, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, and thanks so much for having me here.
Absolutely. So again, first time in here and everything. I'm excited to have the first interview in this space. It looks good, feels good. Kind of reminds me of the studios we had in college. It was neat. But Yeah, so we're here to talk about the book. Congratulations on getting this first
Thank you
novel
so
out. I even saw that there's plans on the second one out, and we're going to talk about that for sure. I think the first thing that I really want to bring up, and I messaged you about this prior, we had a mutual friend.
Yes.
That's how we met. We met through him. Unfortunately, that friend passed away a few years ago. Jacob Lang, love him to death. I still think about him constantly. And you said how you dedicate this book to him. So I would love to give you the space now to kind of elaborate and speak on that.
Well, Jacob provided me a pillar of support when I had no one else. I'm lucky now that I have my fiance and she's my biggest fan. I'm steady and good, but that wasn't always the case. I was very, very upset with the publishing process leading up to publication. It's a hard, very competitive field to try to get into. Everyone was saying no to the book. And so it helped tremendously to have Jacob by my side and tell me, from what little you told me about the book, it's clearly special and it's going to be published someday. He would tell me over and over and over again. And you know him, how supportive, how deeply and authentically he cared.
Yeah.
So he is the reason that the book is published today. It is the reason why it has won the Firebird Book Award, and a little addendum, it has recently been nominated for the Shirley Jackson Award, which is a pretty big deal. And I have Jacob to thank for all of that.
Wow. Thank you, Jacob. Honestly, one thing that I always said about Jacob was he taught me, and he lived it, that empathy truly is a skill. For anybody out there, Jacob was extremely wacky, zany, certainly an oddball, but he felt so deeply.
Yes.
He felt so deeply. So when he did express empathy towards a situation or a person, you just knew that it was coming from the depths of his heart. And it meant a lot. It meant a lot. So that's awesome that you were able to have that experience with Jacob. Obviously, Jacob's been gone for a couple of years now. At the time of his passing, how far along in the book were you, and how much was he aware of the story?
I had the book finished, edited, completed fully, and I was actively sending it out to agents.
Gotcha.
So he never, this is one of my biggest regrets. I never got to let him read the book. I wish I did, but I was so new and youthful in the publishing sphere at that point. I was scared to let anyone read it, even the publishers I was sending it to.
I get that.
But I never got to let him read it, but he did read the query letter, and we talked at length about the plot, the theme, the characters, and he was fully enthralled by it.
That's awesome. I'm glad that he was able to be a part of the experience in that way, and I'm sure he's helping guide through the experience now wherever he is, and how whatever your belief is on the other side, I still like to think he's around there watching us and being around us. I miss him constantly.
I think about him every day, and publishing my books, dedicating it to him, and mentioning him in the special thanks section. This is my way of the little I can do to help him live on.
I know, to honor him and everything. It's and Jacob is a phenomenal artist, by the way. I should link the website that his parents put together for him on his work.
On that topic,
yeah,
the link is included in the special thanks section of my book.
Hey,
I made sure to do that. I had Dad finalize the URL in time, and it's there for everyone to look at it. And you should. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Jacob was an amazing, beautiful, sensitive artist.
Absolutely. So when you get the book, you can check out the link, but we'll also include it in the description of this episode. So now, thank you for entertaining that. I felt like that was right to talk about Jacob in this capacity.
Yeah,
for sure.
The book has a lot of mental health themes, and he was a big part of me getting to where I am now. So with our shared history with him, it felt right to bring him up.
Absolutely. So now let's get into the book, The Monsters Among Us. So a couple of things that I saw when I'm looking into your book, I saw this one description, how you write. He writes dark literature where romanticism meets modern psychology for a macabre, but hopeful depiction of inner struggle and the human ability to endure. Thought that's beautiful right there, and that says a lot about the work. And then the other thing that I saw is that it's being described as an evil, diabolical Truman Show.
Yes.
And I love the Truman Show.
It's a great movie.
Such a great movie. So I'm curious to learn all about this. I will be frank, I have not read the book yet. I'm excited to read it. I have not read it, but tell us about it. What makes this evil, diabolical Truman Show?
Well, the book starts out in a very similar way, but instead of finding out that the main character, Seth, his life is instead of finding out his life is part of a TV show, he finds out that his entire life has been puppeteered by malevolent forces, demons, grotesque gods, otherworldly beings. And when he breaks out of that perceived truth and finds those monsters on the other end, he has to combat them and overcome them. And while those are very real external monsters that he is fighting, it is also a metaphor for him combating and overcoming the monsters within him. And for context, Seth deals with bipolar disorder, and this is where the mental health themes come into play. It's very much a overcoming narrative of accepting what you're given, knowing how to use it, and finding the gifts and becoming better for it at the end.
I think that's really good. So as you said here, Seth has bipolar disorder. Where was it that you got your inspiration to give your lead character that condition?
Myself.
From yourself.
I have bipolar disorder myself, and the book is very much, at least the beginning of it, inspired by the first 30 years of my life. And when I was writing the book, I realized there is not enough mental health neurodivergent representation in literature. We have some, a famous one being The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Fantastic book, read it if you haven't, but there's not enough. And there is still great stigma surrounding conditions like bipolar, anxiety, depression. The world is warming up to these. We embrace those better than we once did. But bipolar disorder, especially found in a man, can be a scary thing to people. People tend to veer away from it and don't want to talk about it, think about it, consider it. And so I wrote this book with a bipolar main character to provide relatability to people like myself with those neurodivergences, while also using Seth as a vehicle to force the reader into and create empathy and sympathy and understanding to those who don't understand that life with neurodivergent.
Absolutely. If you don't mind me asking this question, and feel free to say no or turn this down, or we can just simply move on. At what point of your life did you find out that you were bipolar when you got that diagnosis?
I was 10.
10.
Which, and
relatively young.
Very young. And,
yeah.
I remember exactly verbatim what the psychiatrist said. He's a little young for this diagnosis, and that was the phrase that ruined my upbringing, because they should have not said anything. They should have waited until I grew up and matured and saw if it still was an issue they needed to fix. And I'm putting that in quotes because I don't, part of why I wrote The Monsters Among Us is I don't believe in terms like illness, disorder, anything that implies that there's anything intrinsically broken about us, because there isn't. I don't subscribe to that idea. I believe that if you can manage yourself with discipline and effort, you can find gifts hiding beneath it. I mean, there are great examples found in literature and elsewhere, but for my world, literature, Edgar Allan Poe, Sylvia Plath, Hemingway. These are all people who dealt with depression, anxiety,
substance use.
Yes.
Hemingway. Hemingway. You
Yes.
can really get into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And look what they created.
Yeah.
So I looked around and saw a society that saw what I dealt with as a bad thing. But then I looked at those authors and I thought, how could it possibly be a bad thing when they could create such beautiful pieces of art?
Yeah.
And so that is what inspired me to write this book, a book that dares to topple and flip on its head the narrative surrounding mental health in this country, in the world at large.
In the world, absolutely. Because I feel like for the longest time, and it still happens today, even though, as you said, certain things are getting better. Here we are literally in MHA studios, and this is the thing that we're working towards and striving for. But what happens very often, people with a condition do get written off. And it's very, very true. But I feel like with what you're expressing, talking about your the people that you're inspired by in those authors and in yourself and the people in your life, reminds me of this quote from jazz violinist Regina Carter, "There's many ways around a roadblock." Mm-hmm. And just because there might be a challenge in the way does not mean that's the end all be all. Mm-hmm. And I always just thought that was like such a great quote. And I think about that very, very often. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that applies here because sure, you might have a challenge, but it doesn't mean that you're incapable of something.
100%. And I'm glad you brought up that line because I want a disclaimer. If medication works for you, that is fantastic. And I love that for you. But there are people out there, myself included, who are medication resistant. They're very sensitive to the side effects, and it actually makes your life much worse than it would have been otherwise. That's also what inspired me to write this book, a book that dares to question the values and definitions of mental health. I wanted to provide a book that can empower us to see things differently. Maybe if medication doesn't work, maybe offer a way that does.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm glad that you brought up the resistancy factor. I was just speaking to a mental health professional, Dr. David Miller. Check out that episode if you haven't. He's the medical director at the Hudson Valley Ketamine Lounge, and they're now using ketamine to help treat people with depression, anxiety, and most especially PTSD, and the ways that they are seeing that it's helping out. And one of the things that they said is how people who are resistant to a lot of the treatments, say the SSRIs or things like that, this is an alternative way of going about it that is helping to unlock people's brains. So that's a new option out there. It's still in its infancy. It's really only in the last 10, 15 years that it's been being used. But there's also another thing. I don't even know who said it originally because it's been shared ad nauseum online. And I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm going to butcher the quote. It said something like, I believe that mental health is real, but I also believe in sunshine, fitness, good diet, and socialization.
Yes.
And and that all contributes to mental health right there. And I find, I struggle with depression. There was a period in my life where I was isolating myself. I know I wasn't giving myself any of that. So as you said, in your case and plenty of other people's case, Jacob was even one of those people when it came to the medication. He tried multiple different ways of going about treating his mental health, and he had adverse side effects to a variety of things. So it's so important that you said that, like finding other alternatives. And again, this is very personal to you. This does not speak to everybody. But in your journey, what have been the things that helped you get through it and circumvent and work through said challenges?
An answer that Jacob would like: make art. Because when I was writing The Monsters Among Us originally, as soon as I finished, it felt like all the angst and pain that drove that narrative was just gone. Art is so therapeutic. But aside from that, walking, sunshine, like you said, I love hiking. I got a dog. Get a dog. Dogs are excellent.
Yes.
When I got my dog, Poe, for everyone online who follows me on social media, you know him. He has helped immensely. Yeah. So there's lots of little things one can do. Nothing is a cure-all. No. But there are things to make life manageable. And I grew up hearing, Kent's bipolar. If he doesn't take medication, there's no hope. And that is not true. I haven't taken medication for it close to a decade now. And it took a lot of work, but I'm here and I'm stable and good. So,
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're in a good place and you feel good in this moment. I got to ask about your dog. What kind of breed is your dog?
He's a British Labrador. And his name is Poe, like I said, after Edgar Allan, of course. He's a handful, but he's starting to mellow. He's about 2 years, 4 months old.
Oh, he's still so young.
He's a pup. He's a pup.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Yeah. Have you ever had a pet before?
Oh, yeah. I grew up with other dogs, many cats.
There you go.
Hedgehog.
A hedgehog, too. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
We've had a lot of pets.
Very, very cool. So, yeah, throughout your life how therapeutic and cathartic it can be to have a pet and to have Poe now. That's really lovely. That's beautiful. Obviously, our friend Jacob, he was very much surrounded by animals. His parents, being vets, and having the horses, the dogs, the cats, literally every animal under the sun at one point or another.
I love going there for that reason.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
The cat's name? Yeah, I think about him all the time, still.
There you go. Oh, my God. Nah, it's so cool, and it was so neat. I will say the horses smelled, but besides that, it was always terrific getting to go over there. So, yeah, let's get back to the book a little bit more. I think that's a really great premise for the book, and definitely got me intrigued. I would love to, besides the Truman Show, I also got a little bit of like Dante's Inferno. 100%. Out of what you're saying.
That is what I also had that in mind when writing it.
Nice.
Yes.
Very cool. So obviously that's inspired you in a number of ways. I'm assuming you read it. Did you play the games? You watch any of the movies?
I've read The Inferno, yes. Yep. I have not yet read the Purgatorio or the Paradiso. I've heard it kind of falls off. But I will someday.
I will say, Inferno's dense.
Yes, it is.
Dense.
Great work, though. Another epic poem that inspired it was Paradise Lost by John Milton.
Yes.
There are a lot of references to that in the book.
Oh, that's awesome.
In fact, it opens with Seth sitting on a cliffside smoking cigarettes and reading a copy of Paradise Lost.
There you go.
It's right there in the beginning.
It says, you're just hitting them over the head with it. No subtlety with that whatsoever. But that's great, though, because we are always inspired by the art that we consume. That's the way of going about it, and I think that's great. obviously you have Seth, the main character here, but obviously with any good story, you have the side characters as well, the supporting cast. Is there anything that you want to say in regard to the supporting cast that you think might be beneficial for listeners to hear about?
Well, Seth is the bipolar rep, but every other character, and there's a lot of them in this book, is dealing with something, whether it's anxiety, depression. What the female co-lead is dealing with, and I never, other than Seth, I never specify what they're dealing with, but I had in mind borderline personality disorder.
Interesting.
Which is very similar to bipolar, which is why she is there to be a guiding light. Like, she is a character who has already gone through hell and grew from it and learned how to manage her neurodivergence, and therefore she is like a guiding light, a example to Seth of who to become, how to be. And there's a lot of characters like that, whether human or demon or otherwise. Yeah. It's a large cast of characters.
That's cool. And it's awesome to have that sense of representation through it all, whether it, in the case of Seth, it's obvious. And as you say, you state it, he's bipolar in the book.
Yes.
But for these other characters, they don't need to necessarily have it or say to have something to be the representation of it, and you can get through the text. I think that's great. So I'm definitely excited to learn more about the book. I definitely want to read it myself. You already have a sequel to it planned for next year. I saw online its release is supposed to be May
5th. Yep.
May 5th. Fantastic. So I'm assuming it's all kind of like a few years ago this was done and you're having to work with the publishers. This is done and it's said and you guys are getting it going.
More or less. It's written. It's been edited thoroughly. I'm editing it again. And there's going to be one last round of edits and then
Okay, sounds good.
And then after that, I haven't talked about this much because I haven't received the contracts yet. But there's going to be 2 more books in the series.
Ooh, very cool.
And I think it's important to state that despite the fact that it's indeed a series, they connect with, there's an overarching narrative that springs forth due to various catastrophes and struggles that happen within the books. But each single book is standalone and self-contained.
Very cool.
One could pick up wherever they want, though you could probably get the most out of it if you start with the Monsters Among Us.
Yeah.
But I like a self-contained story.
That's cool.
I don't want to leave anybody hanging at the end of the book.
That's awesome, because I was going to ask about that, if the sequel picks up like right after the other one, or if it's like a continuation. Is it Back to the Future 2 and 3, how you have to go one right into the other?
Nothing so convoluted.
Yeah.
It does take place directly after the first book, but it's the start of a fresh new story.
It's its own story now.
Yes.
Very, very cool. I think that's great. Very similar to kind of like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so like going from New Hope to Empire, like they are 2 different stories.
Yes.
Yeah. Unlike
a continuation in the same world.
Yes, absolutely. Where I feel like Empire into Return of the Jedi, you need to see Empire for Return of the Jedi, but like New Hope is like its standalone thing. I digress. That's just my nerdum coming out. But that's awesome, though, that you're creating the series out of it and that you're expanding this world with these characters, and especially on a very important topic. As you said, creating art, that's so key when it comes to expression, learning, inspiring, motivating, growing. I think that's really important. Outside of your writing, is there any other art forms that you feel like you really, really dive into on, doesn't have to be a professional level, but just like on a personal level?
Definitely not professional level. I've tried, but writing is my art. It's what I'm good at. But hobby-wise, video games.
Nice.
I've always loved video games. TV and film occasionally, though my life is completely devoured by writing and reading.
I get that. Absolutely. What are some of the games that you're playing these days?
I'm currently replaying the Xenoblade Chronicles series.
Okay, I've heard of it. Never played, though.
Yeah, they're a Japanese RPG series that is very philosophical and very, very narrative-based. Like, the games are novels on their own, which is why I like them.
I was going to say, there's a theme here.
Yes.
Yes, very good. That's awesome. That's cool. Do you feel like the video games that you play influence the way that you write?
Yes. Yes. In fact, anybody who's a fan of Xenoblade might find some similar themes.
Interesting.
And there's Xenoblade, then there's Xenosaga that preceded it. Same company, same series, just by a different name.
Okay.
And Xenosaga had subtitles that were named after Friedrich Nietzsche philosophies. And it was those games that led me down the path of reading philosophy. And for the sake of reading The Monsters Among Us, I read Nietzsche's A Will to Power, The Will to Power, Beyond Good and Evil, and Thus Spoke Zarathustra. I spent 2 years reading all these, deeply engaging them and using their philosophies of willpower to fuel the monsters among us.
That's cool.
To be clear, none of his misogyny and class elitism, though. I threw that away.
Very good. Happy to hear that part. So it sounds like you're definitely, when it comes to your philosophy, and I'm curious to learn more, sounds like a lot of it is on the Western side. Do you read much on the Eastern side as well, Western versus Eastern philosophy?
I haven't read any philosophy necessarily, though I do engage with a lot of Eastern media. Along with video games, I've grew up watching anime.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not a stranger to their philosophies either.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. You know, I've been back and forth between different sides, and there's a lot of similarities. Buddy of mine gave me Meditations by Marcus Aurelius to read, and that was very impactful on the Western side. But then on the Eastern side, I've been reading a couple of things from the Dalai Lama and Thich Nhat Hanh, who's another very high up there monk these days as well. And I recommend it. I think it's great. It actually just gives me a smile to read. It's actually really nice. So I was just curious on the philosophy side of it all. So that's cool. So you have this series. You have this book. It's out now. People should go out and check it out and read it. Where can people find it?
You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere that you can buy a book. In fact, if you're local to the Hudson Valley, I can tell you right now it's on the shelves at Oblong Books in Rhinebeck.
Hey, love those guys.
They're amazing. 3 Arts Books right across the street from Vassar College.
Oh, they're good too. Okay, yes. The small little one, right? By where Juliet's used to be, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. Yep.
And it's also in Inquiring Minds over in Saugerties.
Okay, don't know them, but I'll have to check it out.
Amazing bookstore.
Is it?
Yeah, they're
Nice.
fantastic.
Cool. That's awesome that you're getting the local support too with all these bookstores as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So what do you have to say about that with supporting local when it comes to, supporting a local author such as yourself, but supporting a local bookstore, supporting local art? What do you have to say in regards to that?
I think it's more important than ever. It's always been important, but with the rising, things happening in politics right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you want to say about that.
It's funny because the day that we're recording this, a big thing came out on the news. Yes. More than likely, you probably know it, and we don't have to get into it. But
yes.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's important not to support billionaires. Local, support people who belong to your community, who don't have the means of Bezos and the like.
Yeah, help your neighbor.
Yes. Even if the Monsters Among Us isn't at your local bookstore, ask them to order it. Please support them that way.
That's a good way of going about it as well. Kent, this has really been a great interview, and I really appreciate your time. Do you have any last little nugget that you want to share with the Walsh Wednesday listening audience, whether it's been something we talked about already or something maybe we haven't brought up?
Just that the book was a 6-year-long endeavor. I wrote it. I threw it away. I wrote it again and edited it. And edited it again. I did 2 years of research for philosophical research, like I said. This was a big chunk of my life. So it would mean the world to me for anybody to read it and to get it out there and spread the word about this unique blend of dark fantasy and horror that I promise you will deliver you a story that you've not seen before.
Very exciting. Again, you can check out Monsters Among Us in the description of this episode. We're going to have that. And we'll link it directly to you and your sites and everything. So there we go. Very, very, very good that way. But also, if you want to support local bookstores or any of those as well, that's highly encouraged. And check out the places that Kent mentioned already. Kent, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm Connor.
I'm Kent.
And as always, we're glad we get to
spend some time.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode. Much love to our sponsors this week, Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, Locks That Rock Hair Design, Dutchess Beer Distributors, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins, and SAPE LLP, Attorneys at Law, Prime Storage, Vivash Med Spa and the Hudson Valley Ketamine Lounge, Walsh Valuation, and Dayrock. Thank you to our Walsh Wednesday All-Stars, all of those who have generously contributed to the Walsh Wednesday 2025 Fund Drive. You can see the list of names on screen or in the description of this episode. And of course, thank you to our Walsh Wednesday Warriors, Jim Robinson, John Newhall, Meg Boyce, and Jenna Hess. These individuals have pledged $100 or more to Walsh Wednesday for 2025, either through the GoFundMe or our Patreon. You can support this channel by becoming a Patreon member with memberships as low as $5 a month. With that, you can get behind-the-scenes content, your name featured in the credits of each episode, and access to the Spend Some Time chat. You can find that and more by scanning the QR code on your screen or by going to the links in the description. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and I'm glad we get to spend some time.